Welcome back to my channel. My name is Freya, and for this video we're going to be doing a fragrance review of the Zoologist fragrances. I recently ordered some samples because I was curious. I'd seen some people talking about them online and I wanted to try them out for myself. I ordered altogether, I believe, about 9 fragrance samples. So I've already tried them, I've written down my thoughts, and now I want to share them with you. Starting off with one of the more famous ones, Bath. The perfumer of this one is Perfumes, and it has top notes of fig, passion fruit, pink guava, and soil accord, middle notes of hay, incense, minerals, and night blooming jasmine, and base notes of animalic notes, leather, mossy stones, teak wood, and vetiver. So my initial thoughts of this fragrance when I tried it is it's like a sweet fruit being picked from the soil, like fresh from the soil. It's as if you're working in the garden and you're pulling up sweet tropical fruits from the soil. I know fruit doesn't tend to come directly out of the soil, but that's just the image I'm getting. You can definitely smell the separate sweet sort of passion fruit tropical notes and the soil accord like strongly, and it gives me that image of picking fruit from the soil. This surprised me when I first tried it, is I sort of get like a minty note that comes through, and I believe it's from the leather note and the hay note. I'm like familiar with how hay smells since I have guinea pigs. I sort of recognize the sort of more herbal minty note, but it does smell like quite a strong minty note to me. Once it dries down, it does smell like woodsy and quite strong of incense, and it sort of does bring me the image of that moment just as you light a stick of incense and you're kind of not getting the smell of the full incense yet, but you're getting the burning wood and the smoke. And that's kind of what it smells like once it dries down. And obviously you do get those sort of sweet notes in the background, but they don't last too long since, you know, those are the top notes. But I really like this fragrance, and I can see why it's popular. I did get one of the second popular fragrances, and I feel like I'll talk about Moth in like a second, but I feel like Bat and Moth are sort of two sides of the same coin. Like, they're both very sort of gothic, romantic fragrances, and I really like them. I definitely want a full bottle of Bat at some point. The next perfume is actually one of my favorites that I tried from this, and is one that I can see wearing quite regularly if I had the bottle, and that is Cow. This is made by Natalie Feisthauer. It has top notes of sage and apples, middle notes of milk, lily of the valley, heliotrope, violet, and jasmine, and it has base notes of cedarwood, vetiver, benzoin, musk, and amber. So this one, when you spray it initially, you get a very strong apple smell, and I like that. I love apples. I love the smell of apples. When I saw the notes, that's what initially, one of the notes that really sort of drew me towards getting a sample of this, as well as the milk scent. But unfortunately, I feel like you don't really get too much of the milk notes through, which is unfortunate for a fragrance after a cow. You would hope you'd get more milky, but personally I don't feel like I smell much of a milk note. It's very clean smelling. It's almost like soapy or baby powdery, probably coming from like the violet and the heliotrope and the lily of the valley notes. Like I say, I was looking forward to a more creamy milky scent, but I don't really get that. But saying that, I personally really enjoy sort of soapy baby powder scents. Favorite fragrances is from Society of Alchemists. It's like a store in York, and they sell like scents and bath bombs, and I have got a fragrance from them called Elemental Fairy, and I think that smells like sort of like an elevated baby powder, and it's one of my favorites. So I still really enjoy it. It's just a shame that I wish it had more of the creamy milk scent that comes through, but I don't smell it on me. It is like a sort of, it is kind of like a barely there kind of scent. Kind of have to get quite close to smell it, and I don't necessarily just like that. I quite like intimate scents, especially this. I feel like it's just very angelic and yeah, like baby powder, and I actually really like it. So again, this would be probably, out of all of the scents I've tested in this, it would probably be one of the ones like like I'm most likely to get a full bottle and use it and maybe repurchase. Next we have Seahorse. In my venture to try different fragrances and expand my knowledge of perfume, I do want to try like the weird more like animalic, aquatic scents, and Seahorse is one of my favorite animals, so I was very excited to try this. The perfumer for this scent is Julian Rasquinet, and it has top notes of Guatemala, cardamom, fennel, amber absolute, middle notes of clary sage, tuberose, and neroli, and base notes of algae, absolute, vetiver, and ambergris accord. So from the notes, this is like nothing I've ever tried before. I had to look up a lot of the notes because I was like, what is this? Like, what am I smelling? But it's such a salty, almost like savory kind of scent. It's like so salty, but yeah, it's fresh. It really does feel like seawater, but it's got like the herb sort of scents from the, I'm gonna smell it actually because it's so interesting. Yeah, it's like sort of vegetable like scent, probably from the fennel, and it's so interesting. It's so like earthy. It's like a salty, fresh fragrance. It's almost savory from the fennel and like the vegetables, which I've already said. I've wrote that it's almost creamy. So this is like one I'm like, yeah, like there is like a creamy aspect from it, and it must come from like the tuberose, because like I say, I was looking the notes up to really like figure out what I was smelling, and like one of the things it said is like this tuberose has like a sort of creaminess to it, so I feel like I really can smell it, and it's so interesting and so nice. I don't think I would ever personally like wear this, but for a man or like a masculine scent, I think this is really, really interesting. And as like you'll see, there is some of these scents that I don't like, and it can be like, I think it is like a couple of the more experimental scents, but this one I really, really like, despite the fact that I probably wouldn't wear it myself. I think if I smelled my husband wearing it, I just think it's a really nice masculine scent, and it's interesting. This is another one of my favorites, Moth. The perfumer for this is Tamu Inabra, and this has so many notes, so get prepared. It has top notes of black pepper, cinnamon, clove, cumin, lemon, nutmeg, and saffron. Middle notes of heliotrope, iris, jasmine, mimosa, muguet, and rose. And it has base notes of ambergris, honey, resins, guaiac wood, musk, nagar mofra, oud, patchouli, smoke, and vetiver. So this one is, I think it's so complex and so interesting, and I do believe Moth might be like one of their most popular scents, full stop, and I can really see why, because it's so deep and spicy and interesting, and it almost like grabs you like by the lungs. Like it's so powerful and such like a hit of different notes to the nose. To me, the reason I love it so much is it feels like historical. It feels like the incense that they would burn in like a Tudor palace. The image, going back to like the history, the image it specifically brings to me is like Catherine of Aragon, like pre-Reformation Tudor England, like Tudor royalty, pre-Reformation Tudor royalty. As well historical as that it brings to me, Great Fire of London, like you get the smoke and the scents. This is just like the image that it gives me, and I love that. Despite it coming across like such a deep, smoky, spicy perfume, like incensey, you do really get like the sweet notes from like the lemon and the rose, and I really like that. Like I say, it's so complex, and I really do see why it's so popular. To me, like similar to Bat, but this one even more so. This one feels like the ultimate gothic, romantic fragrance, and I just really, really, really love it. Next one I am going to talk about is Cockatiel, and this is created by Sven Pritzakoliet. The top notes of this are champagne, raspberry, and rhubarb. The middle notes are acacia, powdery notes, and cashmeran, and the base notes are guaiac, patchouli, vanilla, and musk. So this is one of our first ones where I'm like, I don't like this, and it's unfortunate because I really wanted to like this. I thought it sounded so interesting and cool, and I love cockatiels. One of my first pets was a cockatiel, so I really wanted to like this, but instead of like the sweetness that I bought, it would come across like it's kind of like sour, and smoky, and I just don't enjoy the way it smells on my skin. The main sort of notes that I can smell through this is the patchouli and the guaiac and the rhubarb, and I think it all together, it just comes like sort of like a sour, weird smell, and I just personally don't enjoy it. I wrote here that it feels like dead in the middle of like a sweet, like if like sweet is here and wood is here, it's like dead in the middle, and I just don't think it really works. It's like really you're not getting the best of any of the notes that are included, and it's a shame. I think some people might like this, and it might just be the way it lays on my skin, but it really does come across like sour and kind of like not the nicest. So unfortunately this is the first in this list that I have to say I don't enjoy, which sucks because I was looking forward to it. But if it sounds interesting, like the notes sound interesting to you, I would recommend trying it, but for me it's just a no. So next on the list is Makek Yuzu Edition. So this is one of the 2 fragrances that my husband actually purchased for himself, and this one is made by the perfumer Mackenzie Riley. It has top notes of Japanese yuzu, mandarin, and juniper berry, middle notes of myrrh, hinoki wood, and hydrocarbon resin, and base notes of oak moss absolute, New Caledonian sandalwood, and oil barnum hyper absolute. Some of these are big words that I've never heard before. This is a great masculine scent. It's really fresh, and it's got a really nice woodsy scent in the background upon the first spray, like upon it first landing on your skin. It really brings me to like a scene of like sort of like drinking like a nice iced citrusy beverage, maybe like a lemonade or something, like on the patio of like a cabin in the woods, like during the day. You're just like looking at the sun, and the sun's like bursting through the trees, and you're sipping this ice cold delicious drink, and it's crisp. The perfume itself, again, this is why it makes me feel like drinking a beverage, is like it's so crisp and fresh, and I think like the crispness will come from the use of the juniper berry as a note, but it's just so good. As it dries down, you definitely get the more sort of like woodsy, spicy scent from the myrrh, and like definitely like the other sort of wood scents that are included in the notes, and the citrusiness sort of falls into the background of the scent once it wears down, but like it's still definitely there. You can still definitely smell it. It's such a good masculine scent. Like I'm so glad he like picked this one up for himself, because it was cool to smell it. It was interesting. I honestly think this one that I'm going to talk about next might be my least favorite of all of them. So this one is Squid, and it's made by Celine Barrel. It has top notes of pink pepper, solar salicylate, incense, middle notes of black ink accord, salty accord, and opoponax, base notes of ambergris, benzoin, and musk. I really don't like the way this smells. From reading the notes, it does exactly what it wants to do, but to me it's quite nauseating. It's so salty and aquatic. I can see it smelling of like deep water, like the deep sea, but unfortunately like it comes, I've not really wrote much about this because I really don't like it. Like the first thing that comes to my head when I like sniff it is like Play-Doh, like a weird like chemically salty smell, and I really don't like it. So I'm gonna have to say this is my least favorite. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to really re-smell it. This is maybe the only one I would be like, don't try it for yourself, even if it sounds interesting, because I hate it. Sticking with like sort of a aquatic animal theme, the next fragrance I'm gonna try is Olm. And this one is created by Spiros Drossopoulos. This one just has notes listed. It doesn't have like their top, middle, and base notes, but it is water cave accord, limestone, iodine, algae, soft amber sandalwood, oily musk, cashmeran, and iso e super. So this one is so interesting. It smells exactly like you'd think, like a wet cave. It's like photorealistic. It's so interesting and so strange, to the point where it's like almost almost unwearable. It's interesting to have because it smells so realistic and so like a wet cave where like an olm would be, but I just like can't see myself wearing it. It does give like a slight swimming pool kind of smell with the iodine. It's like chlorine, like similar to chlorine smell, so I can like smell like a slight swimming pool kind of scent, but you really can like smell the wet walls of the cave and like the wet stone and the green aquatic scent of like the algae like on the walls of the cave and like in the water. And yeah, like I say, it's so photorealistic and accurate to like what you're expecting when you hear the notes, but that sort of to me makes it a little bit unwearable, and I personally wouldn't wear it. Some people might, but I personally wouldn't. But that's not to say I dislike it, it's just to say it's such an interesting scent, and I'm glad I have like a sample of it in my collection because like it's just so strange, but I like it, but I wouldn't wear it. So, and lastly, we actually have my actual favorite. The sample actually isn't in here because I've been carrying it around in my bag. Like I've been actually using it, wearing it day to day. And this is Orchid Mantis this is by I think the same perfumer who did Moth, Tomu Inbara, and I love this. The top notes are bergamot, lemon, dewy green accord, pear and basil. The middle notes are pink orchid, queen of the night, yang yang, jasmine absolute and rose absolute, and the base notes are patchouli, vetiver, moss, sandalwood and musk. And again, this one is like a baby powder scent. Like despite the fact there's like not a powdery note or a powdery it comes to me like a really sweet floral baby powder scent, almost like a little like grandma-y. Like I love it. I really like it. I love that it's such a sweet sort of fizzy powdery scent. I love it. I don't think everyone will love this as much as I do, because in a way it does smell very old, like does smell like a talcum powder kind of, but I love it. And again, this one, like I mentioned about the baby powder scents before, this one reminds me exactly of like a sweeter elemental fairy by Society of Alchemists, and I love that. So, and I've not really heard any talk of Orchid Mantis, so I'm glad I decided to like pick it up because I absolutely adore it. And if I was to get anything, I get like probably this, I'd get a full bottle of this, and again sort of like Cow, it would be one that I would probably repurchase, use it and repurchase. Yeah, that's all the samples that I got. If you're interested in me maybe getting some more samples, like the rest of the samples, and trying them, let me know and I might. But I've really gotten into fragrances recently, so I'll probably be making more videos of fragrances. And yeah, I'm glad I got to try a big chunk of the Zoology range, and I will probably buy some of them in full size because I really like them. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos like this and on lifestyle and media, then please like, comment and subscribe. I will probably do more fragrance videos. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you again. Bye bye.